Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We're going to take a few minutes to let people convene here, and we'll be starting in just a few minutes. Hello, everyone. We're just going to give another couple minutes for people to get online here. So please bear with us. We'll be starting the webinar in just a few minutes. Okay, so we have a goodly number of you who have joined, and I want to welcome you to our introductory webinar on the Material Health Tool Suite. I'm Wendy Vittori. I'm the Executive Director of HPDC, the Health Product Declaration Collaborative. And with me today are Mike Manzi from Bora Architecture and Interiors and Mija Marcano, who manages technical support with us here at HPDC. And we want to welcome all of you from the material health community of practice. We have an exciting new set of capabilities to review with you today, and we're really looking forward to this call. If you have questions, please put them into the Q&A section. And we do have a Q&A section at the end of the webinar. And so we'll have an opportunity to speak with you. We're also going to be answering questions if we can as we go along in the Q&A itself. So please do let us know. And we're here to give you this information. And so we're really interested in your participation through the Q&A, and anything that we aren't able to get to during the time of the webinar today, we will be coming back to you to follow up on that. So again, welcome all of you, and welcome Mike, and welcome Mija. I want to take a minute before we get into the new features of the Material Health Tool Suite just to review something that's probably familiar to most of you on the call here, and that is the role of the HPD Collaborative, HPDC, as we say for short. We are a nonprofit collaborative that is an ecosystem membership group. And so part of our membership, which is now over 450 member companies, spans manufacturers, architecture and design firms, building owners, contractors, a wide variety of what we call ecosystem participants who are doing the consulting, the preparing, the verifying, the data collection, all of the various pieces and parts of this material health ecosystem that, working together, we have all built over the over the last decade. So it's exciting to be here today. As you know, we have the HPD Open Standard, which is really the foundation of the work that we do. And the whole goal here is to provide a consistent, accurate, and reliable methodology that everyone in the industry can use to both report on and use material health information. And so we work through the evolution of this standard. We are now on version 2.3, and we're moving on to version 3.0. We have our technical committee, our technical subgroups, our board of directors, all the various member committees that help guide this work, and a small staff here to help pull it all together and keep the wheels turning forward. And so we have built together a pretty remarkable ecosystem of participation So that HPD report, and we're here today to talk about new tools for using the data that's on these HPD reports in new, really exciting and more flexible ways. So we already provide that to a variety of product libraries, data management and interpretive tools, ratings and certification systems, screening, assessment methods and tools are all part of this ecosystem that comes together. And then the collective of all of that is available to product manufacturers and suppliers and project design teams. So I want to just thank all of you who have participated in creating, a very significant body of work here. And I think sometimes many of us were just heads down and we don't realize what progress has been made. We've just broken through the 13,000 published HPD. What are we going to call it? It's not, I guess, threshold. It's a threshold to the next level. And this represents over 40,000 individual building product SKUs that now have HPD reports available for them. And you can see here just the progress from the sort of initial inception of ideas. And some of you on this call probably participated way back over a decade ago and have been part of this. Others of you may be new to what we're doing. And the great news is that it really has progressed a lot. And what we're going to be looking at today is how this has progressed. So the manufacturer information that over 1,000 manufacturers are providing through our HPD Builder tool is then aligned with the requirements that are expressed in the standard. And the end result of that are those HPD reports that we talked about. These then go into the public HPD public repository where they are public. And what that means is that anyone is able to go into the repository and find this information and use it in an increasing number of very creative ways in the work that they're doing, both as manufacturers and project teams and members of that ecosystem. So we have at this point, I think one of the largest, if not the largest, database that links products with contents, chemical contents, and human and environmental hazard associated data. And so that is an enormous body of knowledge. And part of what we are going to be unlocking with these new tools in the Material Health Tool Suite is how to start using that more creatively. One of the ways it's already in use and in wide use is in our data partners' various systems. And here is an illustration from the Ecomedes product library where you can see that over 31,000 products that are listed in that library have HPD reports available to them. And because of the data exchange that we do, we can ensure that the information available in Ecomedes and the other data partners that we have is accurate, reliable, and consistent. It's up to date. And I just want to thank all of those partners for their participation, making this information available to all of you in the various places where you need to access it. I will note that we're going to have a second announcement as part of the Material Health Tool Suite, rolling out more specifics about our data partners program. So stay tuned for that in the next month or two. And we're going to actually be enhancing some of the capabilities with HPD data that you're going to find available in those partner tools. So now let's get on to the main topic of today, which is the Material Health Tool Suite itself. So what is this? When we talk about this, what are we talking about? Well, the first idea we had is to bring together under one umbrella all the different components that we all have been working on building over this last decade. It begins with the HPD Open Standard. Then we have the HPD Builder, which is where manufacturers are able to enter their data, discover the information about human and environmental and other associated health information that we make available through the Builder, align their reporting with the requirements of the HPD Open Standard, and finally publish HPD reports. So all of that takes place in the HPD Builder. The HPD Public Repository is where those published HPDs go. And so that is a complete archive of all HPDs that have been published We even keep track of HPDs that have been withdrawn. What that ensures is that if you are using an HPD and you have a question about its validity, is this an authentic report or anything like that, you can go to the HPD public repository and authenticate that you have the actual correct document. It's also kept up to date, so manufacturers are encouraged to update these reports as they have new information available about the products. And so you'll see that in many cases, there are new versions that are coming out all the time as manufacturers are adapting their formulations. And at this point, we have about 250 or so new HPDs that are being published every month, usually from about 40 to 50 manufacturers contributing to that. Now, what we're going to talk about today is one of the new features called the HPD PreCheck. And so, most of you are probably familiar with this already because we had this concept in operation in the lead PreCheck, which we introduced 6 years ago. And it's been very, very effective in helping everyone from manufacturers to project teams identify whether the products reported in an HPD are compliant with the requirements of the lead material ingredients credit. And that works. We have a PreCheck for both option 1 and option 2. So in practice, what does this mean? It cuts down on a lot of the complexity and difficulty of understanding whether the significant amount of technical data that's reported on an HPD actually is compliant for the lead credit. And so it saves time. It leads to a more quality type of analysis and evaluation of those HPDs. It makes it feasible to do that for a number of projects. So as we started to see the impact that that had, we said, well, what if we could have a PreCheck for any program, including ones that an individual architecture design firm has. So many of you have already established standards for your firm, how you think about material health in the products you want to select and specify for projects. The new HPD PreCheck is designed to make that just as easy as what we've seen the lead PreCheck can be. So you can literally get that set up. We're going to talk about how that works today. Get that set up in our system, and then any project team member, even someone relatively new, would be able to simply use it to find the products that align with your requirements. And so today we're going to talk about one specific example with Bora Architects where this is already in place. Another new feature we're going to touch on today is how you see and interact with that PreCheck information, which is through the HPD dashboards. This is a new feature of the HPD public repository, and we're going to show you how that works. And so here, let me just start to introduce the Bora Architects. We see here a scene from the Bora Architects and Architecture and Interiors office. And you see over here on the left, a dashboard. And so I'm going to introduce now Mike Manzi, and he is going to talk to you about his role at Bora. I might also add, Mike this year became the chair of the HPDC Board of Directors and is someone who has been involved working with us to make the HPD open standard as the chair of the technical committee for many years and a participant really almost from the very inception of this. So with that, Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you. And we're all eager to hear about what's going on at Bora with these new capabilities.
Thank you, Wendy, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Wendy asked me to talk about my and Bora's material health journey. It's not possible to tell that story without also retelling a bit of the HPD story. For me and Bora, and for Amy Running, Bora's senior interior designer who has been involved with the HPD as long as I have, it began when Amy and I worked to integrate sustainability into the redesign of our former office. For this LEED Platinum studio in downtown Portland, the material focus was on the single attribute characteristics that had been defined by LEED. We began considering material health more the way we think of it today during the time of Google Red List spreadsheets and manufacturer questionnaires. We were beginning to realize that the ingredients in our building products had similar importance to the ingredients in our food. We were learning more and more about how the toxins in these materials get into our bodies. This is when we became aware of the HPD idea, as many people were starting to realize that material safety data sheets and the hodgepodge of red lists that were emerging were far from useful. If Bora wanted to design healthy buildings, we knew we would be reliant on an industry-wide material health effort, including especially the manufacturers that make the products we use in our buildings. So Amy and I joined the HPD Working Group Steering Committee and have stayed involved ever since. Transparency in the building product supply chain would be the necessary first step. Bora was among the early letter writing firms encouraging manufacturers to share information about their building products through the new HPD. There were a few dozen manufacturers engaged in this effort, along with a slim and scattered ecosystem of like-minded organizations. At the time, there wasn't nearly enough useful information to make responsible product selection decisions. Most chemicals in use had not been studied, hazards were poorly understood, and supply chains were opaque. We honestly didn't know if we'd ever get the information we needed. Now, suppose you wrote one of those early letters and then fell asleep for 12 years. Things look very different today. After creating thousands of HPDs, a group of manufacturers calling themselves the Living Product 50 responded to our earlier letter writing effort with a letter of their own. Their transparency efforts were outpacing our demand for products with HPDs and other disclosure documentation. This gave the design community an opportunity to really consider what was important to us, and our follow-up response eventually evolved into the AIA Materials Pledge. Today, there are several hundred manufacturer members of HPDC and hundreds more creating HPDs. The ecosystem is robust, harmonized, and increasingly connected. 13,000 HPDs have been created, representing tens of thousands of products. At Bora, we have honed and fully committed to a vision based on climate, health, and equity, and the project outcomes that we seek, and the strategies to get us there. Obviously, these are all interrelated, but none of our goals can be achieved unless we select materials that support the well-being of occupants and builders, product makers, fence line communities, and the broader ecosystem. Fundamentally, we want to do these four things. Make informed decisions. This includes easy access to understandable data. Choose better when better can be determined, equitable, good for the climate, and healthy. Encourage our design peers to do the same, and use our collective buying power to shift the market towards better. We can't do this alone. To try to simplify this for ourselves, we have identified our priority of chemicals to avoid, including those whose primary impacts are external to fence line communities and the environment, and internal to building constructors and occupiers. We purposely distilled this down to focus on the scope of architectural products that we have direct control over. It's built on the prior work of many, including the Perkins and Will Precautionary List, the ILFI Red List, the Green Science Policy Institute, HBN, now Habitable, and Cradle to Cradle. We use this diagram to define these priorities for ourselves, but also in proposals and interviews so potential clients know where we stand. Similarly, this poster describing our comprehensive material selection criteria lives in our materials library as our reminder, and to share with visiting product reps what's important to us. This is a simplified flow chart of how product selection works at Bora. The intent is that everyone selecting products is aware of our sustainability and material health criteria. We avoid having materials in our library that don't comply. In order to have a successful material health practice, a firm needs someone to champion it. It helps that at Bora, our biggest champions have integral roles in the product selection process. I continuously update our office master specifications through this lens, and I'm also the gatekeeper as to what gets specified on each project, and can assist during the substitution and submittal process. Our interior design group, led by Amy, is well-versed in making better product selection choices, making my job easier. Over the past 12 years, HPDC, through the hard work of many of you involved in our technical groups, has continuously improved the reliability and usefulness of material health data reporting. The nested display used by some HPDs allows certain chemicals to be pinpointed within a product. The program pre-checks allow quick determination of compliance with certifications like LEED. Additional listings give us assessment information as defined by other programs, providing information that might not otherwise be available or obvious. For example, it's possible to identify a specific substance on one of the 6 classes lists. And we've tackled the tricky reporting of multiple special conditions. In most product categories, there is a great deal of information available about material ingredients and their associated health effects. You should not have to design with products that you know nothing about. We've gotten better at assessment, but there are still too many under-assessed chemicals. However, now that the data is digitized and we can easily identify priorities, this should improve rapidly. Transparency, long known to be foundational to these efforts, is here. Within the context that I've just described, Bora designed our new office space in a renovated building east of the river. We established a goal to avoid toxic chemicals by getting to know the story of each material we use. We expanded a tool that we already use to track products, a spreadsheet we call the product legend, to include the detailed information we wanted to understand. First, we asked what the material's purpose would be. If we couldn't answer that definitively, we probably didn't need it. For each product, we looked at all the available data and certifications, and from that tried to tell its story and evaluate it against our chemical avoidance list and other criteria. The resulting space has minimal materials, mostly wood, and no mystery products. And internal monitoring demonstrates the effectiveness of these strategies on maintaining a healthy indoor air quality. There is a lot of work yet to do. Gathering all the relevant information is still time-consuming, and understanding it is still too difficult. We continue to use too many toxic chemicals in our products and buildings. So when will this get easier? Well, I have some good news. We're about to show you the next steps to make this easier and more useful. The new HPDC tool suite puts all the data in one place for better visualization and understanding, and will allow us to take actions beyond counting HPDs for lead points. We'll share a demo in a minute, but first a few highlights. Dashboards can be customized for your firm based on your own set of criteria. Bora's criteria has been established around our chemical avoidance list. You can drill down into the summary page and start to see some of the graphic displays that we are developing for HPD version 3. These will continue to evolve over the next several months. One of the features I'm most excited about, as someone who is often asked to evaluate specific products against our health criteria, will be added soon. It will look something like this. So for example, our chemical avoidance list includes antimicrobials and PFAS. But as we all know, these are actually thousands of chemicals, and I'm not qualified to identify them. The additional listings that are included in version 2.3 of the HPD can, however, and this display conveniently points out those specific chemicals for me. With these new tools helping us to get to know the products we use, the path to optimization is becoming clear. So now here's a quick demo of navigating the features of the new dashboards. Welcome to the new HPDC tool suite. As an HPDC member, log into the repository and go to the dashboard page. You will see the dashboards available to you. At minimum, these include the HPDC dashboard and Bora's dashboard, which is publicly available. In Bora's dashboard, you can see the top level information of overall numbers of HPDs, version 2.2 and 2.3, and hover over Bora's required and preferred lists to see what the requirements are. We've used the red list, Perkins and Will precautionary list, and the 6 classes list as a proxy for our chemical avoidance list. Below are the filter options that can be customized for your needs. Here you can search for specific products or for specific manufacturers within the selected filter options. Graphs show both overall and by division, showing how many materials comply with the custom pre-tests or filter selections. This allows us to narrow down to whatever is important for this particular search. In the HPD list below, you can see in table form how each product stacks up against the custom filters, the lead pre-checks, and similar. You can also easily access the PDF of any HPD. Further down, you can create custom download queues for each project and contact manufacturers directly for specific information about something within their HPD or to request additional HPDs. My contact information is below if you have questions about our dashboard or material selection policies. We'll now check out the HPDC dashboard by going back to the dashboard page. This dashboard includes the available lead pre-checks and has some different filter options. Any of these options can be included on your custom dashboard. Each of these filters will show up in the table below. As you can see, accessing HPDs and custom searching is now super easy. Transparency in building products is here. We do not need to use products we know nothing about. We can make informed decisions and choose better options. We should all find it unacceptable that poisons are involved in the process of making buildings, that child labor is involved. We have woven ourselves into a complex web of this stuff, but this is how we start to unravel it. We demand to know, we demand better outcomes for everyone. These tools will be continuously improving, the data increasingly available and understandable. Less and less will we have to settle for products and buildings that are not optimized for humans to thrive. Now is the time to be the champion of material health in your organization. Thank you, and I'll turn it back to Wendy.
Thank you so much, Mike. I think that's really an informative presentation for everyone. And so we want to, at this point, see whether there are some questions that people may have. And let's see, I know, Mija, you've been looking at if there are any questions that we have from anyone.
Just a comment, my mindset for president. No other questions so far.
Okay.
That's not a job I want.
Thank you. I think we answered that one. Okay, how does the contact the manufacturer button work? Is it an email that is sent? Mija, you want to handle that one?
Yeah, so the contact manufacturer, you can either contact the manufacturer for the specific HPD, and this will send an email to the manufacturer, which will include the HPD that you're referring to. And you also have the option to communicate at which stage of the product specification process you're at. It also has a free box for you to elaborate on the message, whether you want to tell the manufacturer if the HPD needs to be renewed, or if you have any specific questions about the HPD content.
And I think it's important to just comment on, that particular aspect of the that signaling to the manufacturer. That's actually something that manufacturers have asked us to do. And it's very important to them. I know, Mija, you work, with a variety of manufacturers all the time.
Yeah, it's very important to, well, first, manufacturers appreciate to learn when you are considering their products for projects in general. And also they'll appreciate if you notice something in the HPD, whether it's part of the data that you would like to clarify, or if mainly if the HPD is expired, because sometimes manufacturers are not even aware that the HPDs have expired, for example. So yes, it's in response of requests from both manufacturers and architects.
Going back to the point that Mike touched on with the LP50 group, one of the things that has catalyzed those sorts of things has been that the manufacturers feel like they are producing a lot of information and then they don't receive any feedback. So one of the specific requests that we had to implement in the dashboard is a quick way for project teams to actually give specific feedback that can really help the manufacturers understand better, what is happening. And so that, I think, is really a critical element for project teams to understand. Okay, the next question we have is the pricing for a
Wendy,
membership. Oh, yeah,
related
go
to that,
ahead, Mike.
Wendy, sorry, related to that, there's a question about, does the response come back through the system? So I think that was about the manufacturer. If you send a question to a manufacturer, do you get a response through the system, or, does it switch over to
Through email.
through email? Okay.
It will come through email because it has the contact information from the user as well.
Great.
So
I just
that
wanted to throw that one out
initiates,
there because it was
yeah.
related to what.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that initiates the communication through email, so you can continue talking outside it.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. So, okay. So the other questions about the pricing for membership. So membership, we have 2 levels of membership: affiliate and general membership. It starts at $750. And it depends on how many users you would like to have access to the members portal. We start with 2 for the affiliate, and then 5 for the general. And dashboards that are public, for example, Bora, are included in the membership. So this is for users, but we also have the question for what is the cost to access custom? Okay, so it's the same.
So
yeah.
let me just also touch on the membership. So we also have introduced a individual practitioner membership. So the ones that Mija talked about are the organizational memberships that we have, and that brings you into the full realm of participation on the HPDC committees and all of the things that we do to evolve the HPD open standard. We also have introduced an individual practitioner membership that is geared toward an individual whose organization may not yet be a member of HPDC, but who wants to access these tools. And so I'm trying to remember what level we set that pricing at. I think it was 175 for an annual subscription, which can be also paid on a monthly basis for a little higher amount. So that is another option if you're an individual out there and your organization isn't yet ready to become an organizational member of HPDC. We do have that option available for you. Let's see, is there a cost to access the custom dashboard? So there's 2 aspects to the custom dashboard, such as what you saw Mike illustrate for Bora. For our organizational members who are general members of HPDC, we are making the custom dashboard, and that goes with the custom pre-check available. So the pre-check has 2 elements to it. One is in the HPD builder, which enables manufacturers to see, as they are creating their HPD, what are the requirements of your material health program. And that's very important, because what we really want to do is start to accelerate the number of HPDs that you're going to find that match your requirements. And so one key way to do that is to enable manufacturers proactively to understand what that information is. If you think about how you might do that today through a lunch and learn session, if you're a project team, a new project coming up, there are certain preferred vendors, maybe you have an approved vendor list or something like that, and you reach out to them maybe through emails, you hold an event. What this provides is a follow-up to that, where you can actually send manufacturer to the HPD builder, where there is a representation of your program there. All the criteria that you need are represented there. the manufacturer can then run that pre-check, just as they run today, the lead pre-check in the builder, and they can themselves start to work on getting more of their products aligned with your requirements. Over in the HPD public repository, that custom dashboard then takes that same pre-check and implements it as a set of filters. What this enables you to do is to filter any of the HPDs that are available. As for the digital data set, we have the version 2.2s and version 2.3s, over 7,000, I think it's now over 8,000 HPDs altogether. And you can filter those to find ones that are aligned with your requirements. And that's where proactively contacting those manufacturers may be very important, because manufacturer isn't aware about your program or doesn't know about this. And so you can reach right through that tool to them and say, hey, we're interested in this. We want some follow-up. We want some information from you. And so that makes it very efficient to do this. If a manufacturer has successfully completed your custom pre-check, when the results are displayed in the repository, you will see those pre-checked HPDs first. And that's important because those manufacturers have made already that effort to align with your requirements. And so we want those to be very visible to you. And so there's multiple aspects of that. So to get access to that capability and have us build those features for you, you would first become an HPDC general member. And that's, as Misha said, a $2,000 annual membership dues to support that. And then depending on the complexity of the dashboard, there's a small cost to actually implement that, but it's very affordable. So we'd be happy to follow up and give specifics to any of you out there that are interested in getting a pre-check. I might also add that the pre-checks can be private. So you saw here, Bora is making their pre-check available to anyone who is accessing the repository. If you have something that, let's say, is for a project where you need to work in a more private manner, we do have the capability also to support that. So it doesn't need to be public, although we do encourage it, because sharing your knowledge, sharing the know-how, as Bora Architecture and Interiors has chosen to do, helps bring our whole community along at a faster rate. So again, Mike, thank you and Bora for making that commitment. Thank you, team. When can we sign up? We'd like to start to use this now. Okay, so the first step is to have an HPDC membership. If you already are enrolled with that, then you can go to the HPDC website, and you'll see right there on the home page where you can click, you'll see a tab for the Material Health Tool Suite. You can click right there, and it will take you into a sequence where you can activate the dashboards for yourself and create a dashboard account. And so if you have any questions about that, we have our support portal right on our homepage, and that will bring you just ask your question there. That will bring you to our colleague, Misha, who is here. So I don't know, Misha, if you want to say anything more about the sign-up process.
Yes, if you are already registered in the HPD repository, then you just need to log in. And if you're a member of HPDC already, then you will see the dashboards available. You can also access the dashboards by using the members portal login. So all the credentials work. And you will see as well the tab for dashboards at the top of the repository. So this is a new version of the HPD repositories. That's where you will access the HPD dashboards.
And as you saw in Mike's demo, there's a tab that's been added to what you're familiar with. Your repository user, there's a tab at the top called Dashboards, and that will take you into that sequence. If you haven't yet registered, that will take you into the registration sequence. Let's see. I think we answered, does the response come back through the system? That had to do with the manufacturers, right?
Yep, we answered that one.
Okay, I see benefits for HPDs on simple material, but for complex installations like elevator or escalator, it's a huge effort. And at the end, just a click in the box for the lead consultants. Do you see other benefits for the customer? Okay, so we do have HPDs that that manufacturers of complex products such as this have created. For example, ThyssenKrupp, was an early user of HPDs. And this is when you saw earlier the nested material inventory, one of the key reasons why we implemented that versus just a simple, what we call basic inventory, which is a list of all the chemicals in weight order. In the nested materials inventory, they are grouped into the component parts by material type. And so this enables more complex products to more clearly be represented. We are working on a further enhancement to the HPD Open Standard, which will have a part inventory, but that will be something that will be introduced in version 3.0. And so what you see in the end, however many chemicals there may be, and there are very complex products already, as I said, that have HPDs that are many, many pages long. And these new capabilities enable you just to pinpoint very rapidly the part of that that's of interest. So if you're screening, if you want to screen for a particular restricted list, that is available through the additional listings. So, depending on what it is you want to do, why you're interested in the particular chemical composition, but all products as complex as that can all be represented on an HPD. I don't know if that answers, Kurt, your question.
Can I add a couple points, Wendy?
Yeah.
I think that with a complex product, and as the nested display that Wendy was describing, would allow you, if there's a chemical you're trying to avoid or something that concerns you, it would allow you to identify where that is in the overall product. And maybe there's a way to make a different choice about that component of the product. Like there's some options you could choose that, like it's in the door cab finishes or something. So then maybe you would choose different finishes. And the other advantage to this is that this is, the ultimate goal of all of this is to try to get toxic materials out of our buildings. And so even for manufacturers, sometimes they don't necessarily know that they have certain chemicals in their products because the supply chains are really complex. And so this will help for a complex product, may help them identify, oh, there's this chemical and it's showing up in whatever component of the product, and maybe we can avoid it and use something else, or maybe change the way we design that component.
Kurt, so please ask a follow-up if you have additional questions that we haven't answered about that. Great question. But yes, it can handle really a product of any complexity. And these new tools enable you to deal with understanding, what about that complexity is relevant to the decisions that you need to make. So we have a question, when talking about materials being pre-checked for LEED or other rating systems, what does that mean? What are the requirements? So what that means is that the requirements that are relevant to the data that is reported on an HPD have been automatically checked using computer algorithms for compliance with those criteria. So for example, threshold. If you need, as you do in LEED, to have 1,000 parts per million or better, that is one of the parameters that are checked. And so the manufacturer, when they run the pre-check, they get back a report, and Mike showed what that looks like, that shows them exactly what are the different criteria and whether the HPD report that it's been run against is aligned with those criteria or not. If it's not aligned, it says specifically why it's not aligned. And the whole goal here, as we've been, I think, stressing, is to help fundamentally manufacturers understand this complex data and work with it to improve their products and make them safer, healthier. So the same thing is true for a custom pre-check. For example, for the A&D firm at Bora, we took the criteria that Bora had established, and I think Mike did a great job explaining what that is. Then we make that into a pre-check inside the HPD builder, and we make that into a set of filters inside the HPD dashboard, the custom dashboard for Bora. And so when you go and interact with it, whether you're a manufacturer or you're someone using the dashboard in the repository, you get the benefit of all those criteria being applied against the data all at once. And then you can see, the specific details of the report. So I hope that answers. If that doesn't answer your question, please let us know. What is the process for developing a similar tool? Is that desirable or possible? I'm not quite sure what that question is getting.
Could it be to set up a dashboard like the one for Bora, maybe?
Yeah, well, we can talk about
I
that.
think. And it's the same there's a similar question that I log into my account and can access the dashboard, but there is no prompts to set it up. So maybe it's related. It's how can you set up your own dashboard for the organization, for your own organization.
We don't have a self-service portal for setting up the dashboards at this time. So what you can do is if you want to create your own filters in the repository, you can register to get access to the dashboards and use the HPDC dashboard, because many of the filters are there, but not every piece of data is available there as a filter. When we develop a custom dashboard for you, and I talked about that process earlier, we will work with you on whatever your specific criteria are and create a custom filter that represents those. And so if you are interested in getting a custom pre-check and dashboard created, please get in touch with us. You can contact us through the support portal. You can contact us through, our information inquiry, and we'd be happy to work with you and get started on talking about the next steps to do that. Does this incorporate only American eco-labels and standards, or will European tests and standards be incorporated? Commonly work with European manufacturers. Great question. So we have today in the HPD open standard, we have many European manufacturer participants. What is the focus is the market where the products are being sold. And so we think about the North American market as really being composed of the US and Canada. And so the eco-labels and so on that are prominent there, the way of thinking about this data that is prominent in North America is what you see reflected today. We have been at work for a number of years on what we call the EU HPD, and we've been doing that work with people from the EU. And what that will do is create a new hazard screening module that reflects the market requirements for the European market products. And so those European manufacturers, many of them sell products in the North American market and use HPDs to represent them. Those same products or different products or variations of those products are then prepared for the EU market. And so this new EU HPD hazard screening module will be specific to that. That will be introduced with HPD version 3.0, which we're planning for about a year from now. And when we do that, we will make that screening available through the dashboards as part of the new standard. So many of for example, Cradle to Cradle is an eco-label that's used widely in Europe. And so that is represented as an example in what we have already. Logged into my account and can access there are no prompts to set it up. I think we answered maybe that question from Michelle. Yes, the dashboard. Brent Ehrlich, for a custom dashboard, could you pull in carbon data from EC3 and EDPs? Good question, Brent. One of the things that we have been preparing for is that to make the dashboards more useful to project teams, it may be that adding some additional data elements are going to be important. And so this specifically is going to work through the pre-check system. So if you have a pre-check where there are some additional pieces of data that you'd very much like to include, we do have a capability to add a custom data set that could be something like that. Another way that this particular carbon data, we have had some discussion about bringing a proposal forward that could add that to the actual HPD open standard data. So if anyone is interested in that, I encourage you to get in touch with us. We can, work with a working group perhaps to pull together a proposal for something like that. So the HPD is really, the role of it, as we said at the outset, is to be a data source. And so we have continually been adding pieces of data. For example, in the last several years, we've been working on data that helps illuminate the intersection of material health with social equity. And we've added already a location indicator. Now, this has a lot of other uses. It's useful to know where a product is made, where ingredients are coming from, but it's particularly useful in understanding the intersection of material health and social equity. So this could be a comparable thing. So we're very open to proposals to add new pieces of data if they're relevant to people doing material health evaluation, to understand the intersection of that data with the material health information in HPDs. Let's see, when you view an HPD PDF, will it start to include compliance information with the actual HPD PDF, or is the only place you can see the filter information with the AMHT? So in the HPD PDF, there is the only pre-checks that today are shown, and there's a section on the summary page where it says compliance with other programs. And there we have the lead pre-check. That's an example like what I talked about a moment ago, where we would need to have a proposal for some other kinds of pre-checks to actually be added to all HPD reports. So if it's a custom pre-check that we've created for you, where you will see that is in the HPD repository with the dashboards. The other place that information goes, if a manufacturer has completed the pre-check for a custom pre-check, it is possible for them to export that data to our HPD data partners. So in that case, a little custom data set goes along with the HPD and can be shown in a product library or workflow tool. I mentioned at the beginning that we're working on a next phase of the rollout of these tools, which is really about amplifying the capabilities in those data partner tools. And one of the things we have been discussing is how the filter that you get in the repository can flow through to the partners more easily. It is possible they have all the digital data. It's possible for them to implement filters, but it might not be practical, especially as the number of filters begins to grow. And so we are working on how we can take that knowledge and make it available in those other tools as well. Let's see, aside from lead pre-checks, are any other pre-checks already available? None show up in the program pre-check section of the HPD builder. I think I just answered that. That's, as I said, because at this time, none of them are officially part of the HPD open standard. And we went through the same process with additional listings. Some of you may have been involved with that, where we had started to have requests for people to have that data reported on HPDs. And so it now is. And so this could be something comparable with that. But the process for that is to bring a proposal forward through our technical committees. So if you get in touch with Misha, myself, Corey White, our technical director, and you'd like to bring a proposal forward for something like that, that is something that we can discuss with you. And we'd love to hear proposals about that. So let's see, I think that's the questions that we have here. Are there any other questions that anybody has at this point? Okay, so really briefly then, as we've talked about, if this is all new to you, thank you for joining our webinar today. We are making access to this. If you're not an HPDC member today, we want to give you a chance to try it out. So we do have our 30-day trial period with a satisfaction guarantee. And so on our website, you'll see more information about how that will work. Basically, you'll join. And if you have any questions about it and decide you don't want to continue within 30 days, we'll refund your money in full to you. If you're already an HPDC member, this is a benefit you already have. And so we really encourage you to get into the repository, activate those dashboards. As we talked about, if your firm would like to establish a custom pre-check and a custom dashboard, get in touch with myself, Mija, any of us. We would be happy to speak with you about how we can make that happen. And I think it's something that if you're doing a lot of material health evaluations for your projects already, it's going to save considerable time and help you improve those efforts. If you want to scale so that every project can do this work, this is the tool for you, because you'll literally be able to push that button and find the products within product categories by product that align with your requirements. And so the amount of time saving that this will lead to, especially at a firm scale, in even just a project scale where you're talking about several hundred evaluations, is very, very significant. And I think well worth the investment that will make it happen for your firm. We will have a workshop if you want to go through more of the detail, how does this all work? On June 6th, we'll be sending out more information about that very soon. So you'll be able to sign up and get in that workshop. We're going to be holding those on a regular basis. And this will be a really roll up your sleeves, get things up on your screen. And it's very likely that it will be Mija who will be conducting these and take you through step by step and answer questions interactively to help you get started with these new exciting new tools. We have user advisory panel and manufacturer advisory panel calls coming up at the end of June. You should have those on your calendar if you're already an HPDC member. And we are going to be going through more detail on the tool suite again at those calls, and then invite you to visit with us on our website. So with that, let me see. I see there might be another couple questions that have come in. Thank you for your comment. Great toolkit. Thanks so much. Thanks for the intro. We really appreciate your comments. We really appreciate all of you being here today with us. I want to again thank Mike Manzi and Mija Marcano for their contributions here today. We're really excited. I hope you can tell that we're really excited about this. We're eager to work with you. All this is about making it possible for you to do this work, whether you're a manufacturer, project team, ecosystem member, wherever you're doing material health, we are here to help you do it. And so get in touch with us, let us know how we can help. And again, we really appreciate you being with us here today. So with that, I want to thank you all, and we'll say goodbye for now.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.